the Attorney General is to provide legal advice on any matter that is brought before it by a government institution. That is so broad, and therefore ministries that encounter issues for which they were not so sure, they would always refer such matters to the Attorney General's office for interpretation, for advice, legal advice, and also the Attorney General's office takes care of the Prosecutor General's office. In as much that the office was made available to the government, not all the institutions were making use of that institution, and it used to cost government.
You put out fires. If you're a firefighter, make sure it doesn't spread. Something's going wrong, fix it. It's about to go wrong, don't do that. Rarely do you get to say, this is how things should be. You're always dealing with something. Government's a big machinery. 39 ministries, offices, agencies. Over 100,000 staff members who could do anything. There are ministries who know they know. There are ministries who know they don't know. There are ministries who don't know they don't know. So not everything comes to us. So it's the unknown unknowns that create the problems. But let's face it, it's exciting. I think it keeps you busy. Intellectually, you're always engaged. Secondly, there's always something to do. There's never a dull moment. And from a diverse array of matters. So you could deal one day, today, we're dealing with the definition of fresh milk. Because is it camel milk? Is it elephant milk? Is it soya milk? Is it whatever? 2, a offshore financing structure funded with a mix of grant financing and commercial loan.
The Office of the Attorney General is not like a lawyer where when government is in trouble, it must come and defend government at all cost as its client, like the lawyer in the private sector does. Sometimes it has to say, client, here you messed up big time. We are at fault and we must admit guilt. We can't defend against a citizen using state resources, taxpayers' money, when we know we are in the wrong. Because our job as a public legal office is to defend, uphold and protect the laws and the Constitution of the Republic. The job description of an AG is basically to try and keep very powerful people in check so that they work within the 4 corners of the Constitution and the laws of the land. And that's mission impossible. There were a lot of challenges, and the challenges essentially is that your political principals and fellow ministers would not usually want to follow your advice because you are a check on their powers and what they want to achieve. And what you have to tell them is normally not good news. And there's a lot of tension between you and them. And it takes special courage and a special character to sit in that office. He or she must be a good jurist, a good qualified lawyer, and above all, a person of character. He or she must be a person of character. and integrity. It's not a job for sissies, as they say.
We have a lot of young people, and the statistics show that a lot of them are young women. Because you have a lot of women, you have a lot of critical input. Yeah, but it's a very dependable team. Look, if you can't perform in the Office of the Attorney General, it's picked out very quickly that you're not really a performer. And most likely you're going to leave on your own, because everybody's busy and working. And this includes even the admin staff, because, you know, we need statistics, we need to revert to a file that was done 7 years ago, 15 years ago. They need to know where it is, how to get it quickly. So it's a good team, but it's pretty diverse. And it's a growing team. Overworked, but they don't complain. Not really.
When we came back here to take this country, we have a conglomeration of apartheid and racist laws that were not democratic whatsoever, of bad laws that we found here. You need somebody who can look into those things, and that must be a person who knows the law, and hence the need for the Attorney General. The Attorney General's office here is a very strong office. It's a very fundamental office in the sense that we are a country which is driven by law. And there must be somebody who makes sure that the people live within the confines of the Constitution and the other laws. And nobody can do something which is outside the law. And the Attorney General is there to advise those who don't know how to behave when it comes to law. So it's a very, very strong office indeed. That is why there is a need for it to be in the Constitution, so that nobody can just in his whips try to change the powers and functions of the Attorney General, so that those powers are protected also. It's a very strong office indeed.
When I was Attorney General, I really enjoyed working with the team I had at the time. They were professional, they were pleasant, they knew what they ought to do, and we worked very well as a team. And I always cherish that memory of my service at that office. Looking back, I feel it meant something, that I was female, and therefore probably that was something out of the ordinary. But looking at it today, I feel proud that it actually happened to a female person. And that female person was myself. I look at it with, pride. Female politicians who served our country, our government, have made a mark in our society, have really broken the ice, as it were, to such an extent that a woman occupying a high-ranking position in our system is no longer looked at as if it's a favor done.
It was one of the greatest English lawyers, judges, jurists, Lord Denning, who said that the law must change with time, because if it doesn't, it's not good for both the law and for the people. So I'm looking forward to that change, and that the law is part of that change. Will we have an amendment in the Constitution that allows for right to public health at a given standard becoming a right? Education is already a right. So it gets more interesting and more testing. So these matters, they may come to us maybe not as an initiation from our side, but it could come from financing, where a world finance institution will say, look, we're not willing to finance countries that don't recognize these rights. They've already done this, to say we are not willing to finance countries that don't respect human rights, women's rights. What's to say that that can't be added? So the future is quite interesting. I wish I'm going to be around to witness it. Meet the wonderful ladies and gentlemen who work for the office.